Oh, I don't listen to that advice. Why am I listening? That is the worst financial advice I've ever heard. There's a lot of bad financial advice out there. And a lot of it doesn't even come from financial experts, consultants, finance people. It's just everyday people that want to give you some advice. And for us to have gotten where we are at today, we had to ignore a lot of that advice. Hey guys, Zaman.
And Christina from Our Rich Journey. In today's video, we are going to talk about 7 common pieces of financial advice that people throw out that we completely ignored on our FIRE journey. And we're going to talk about why we ignored those things. We ignored those things and actually reached financial independence and retired before the age of 40. And we want to talk about why you should be ignoring those things too.
Oh, just walk away and say, hold that. I'm going to pass on that advice. The first piece of bad financial advice is never talk about money. This is a really bad piece of advice because how are you supposed to learn about money if you never talk about it?
Yeah, I think a lot of people will stress that it's very rude to talk about money. You shouldn't be talking about money at the dinner table. You shouldn't talk about money to your friends. For us, it's actually very important to be talking about money, to have these conversations, because that is the area that you can talk about for everyone to grow and learn.
You know, one of the things that we do on this channel is we share our money journey with you. And I cannot tell you the number of times family have called me up and said, boy, what are you doing talking about money? Why are you sharing that information? And I'm sharing it because it's helping people improve their lives. And at the same time, us talking about money, we're learning about money. For me, it is a win-win when you are having conversations about money.
Now think about your own personal situation. How many people do you feel comfortable talking about money? How many people can you go to and talk about your 401k, your investments, how much you're saving? What do your expenses look like? If you can have these conversations, you can learn more about your own finances and how to better invest. And you can also help the person that you're talking to as well.
The next piece of bad financial advice is avoid debt at all costs. And I'm talking to my Dave Ramsey folks. You know, shout out to Dave. No, not shout out to Dave Ramsey. His avoid debt advice is out of touch. We just have to be absolutely honest with you. You cannot avoid debt and build wealth efficiently. And I'll give you an example of what I mean. Dave Ramsey's advice is that you need to have 20% down on a mortgage. He says that you need to get a 15-year mortgage. With mortgage rates at 6% right now, if you had to put 20% down and you got a 15-year mortgage, something like only 2% of the population in the US could afford to buy a home with those types of restraints. It's not an efficient way to go about buying a home. Why would I give up 20% of my wealth as a down payment when I only have to give up 3 to 5% and then I can invest the other percent? That's diversification. That's a better way to approach buying a house.
So there's 2 things wrong with this strategy that Dave Ramsey is telling people that they should abide by. And the first one is that saving up 20% of a down payment can take a very long time. It delays your ability to invest into that home. And of course, this is all at the expense of avoiding debt or reducing debt as much as possible. Now, the second part of what's wrong with this is that he is suggesting that you shorten the time frame of your mortgage from the typical 30 years to 15 years. What that means is you are putting even more money down every single month in order to pay off that mortgage. Now, the problem with this is that, again, you're having to come up with more money every single month so that you reduce that debt. The issue with avoiding debt is that when you're doing that, you're taking all of that extra money that you have in order to avoid or reduce debt, and you're doing it at the expense of investing in other opportunities that can give you a greater return.
And this avoid debt strategy is something that we deal with all the time when we talk to people about paying off their mortgages or investing in the stock market. People say, I don't want to have a mortgage. I want to get rid of this debt. So I'm throwing every single dollar that I have at this mortgage. And we're talking about people that have low interest rates. This doesn't make sense. You should be throwing every dollar that you have at the stock market because your returns are going to be much greater in the stock market. The stock market is returning 10, 12, 15% annually. So why would you take that money and put it on your mortgage that only has an interest rate of 3 to 6%. The next advice that we ignored was stay loyal to one company. You can't do this and really grow financially. Moving around allows you to pursue promotions, to pursue higher salaries. Staying with one company can keep you stagnant.
This is really important because studies have shown that the more you move around as opposed to staying with one employer, the more likely you are to increase your salary.
Now, we are a prime example of this. We have never stayed in a job longer than 3 years. And those 3 years were a tough 3 years because at a certain point, you've achieved everything you want to achieve with a position, and we wanted to move on to the next level. And we knew by doing this, we could improve our skills, but also improve our finances. And when our salaries went up, so did the amount of money that we could invest towards financial independence. The next piece of bad financial advice is that buying is always better than renting. Now, we are huge fans of buying. We have bought 10 homes actually, but we have always rented first. You see, when we buy a home, it is an investment decision, and it is one that we move into very, very slowly after we have understood the market and we have run the numbers. Now in America, in the 50 biggest cities, it is cheaper to rent than it is to buy right now. So if you are in New York, LA, Chicago, any of these cities, and you are in the market for a house right now, you're probably better off renting and investing the difference until you find the best opportunity to buy.
The most important thing to understand when it comes to renting versus buying is opportunity cost. When you are buying a home, you're using that money and you're not putting it into another investment like the stock market, for example. So if you do the math and you realize that renting is more strategic, you have more advantages with renting over buying and you can save more money, the most important thing that you actually have to do is that difference between renting and buying. You need to take that difference and invest it into the stock market. It makes no sense to take advantage of the rent versus buy scenario and rent if you're not taking that money that you would save and placing that into an alternate investment.
Now, one of the things about Americans is that we are terrible savers. That's why buying a house is often touted as a way to build wealth, because Americans wouldn't build wealth any other way if they weren't putting it in the house that they lived in. We have to be able to build wealth outside of the equity in our home, because the wealth that you build outside of that can give you opportunities beyond your wildest dreams. You could build up your stock portfolio and then one day be able to buy a house cash, or move to another country, live off of your portfolio and buy a house there. The strategy that you use for buying a house one day doesn't have to be one size fit all. So when people say you have to buy, well, there should be a caveat. You buy when it strategically makes sense, not just you have to buy a house. The next piece of bad financial advice that we ignored is that you have to diversify everything. You be careful doing this. We have seen a lot of portfolios, and one of the things that we have seen are the most successful people are the people that have a very simple portfolio. They have 1 or 2 index funds. Maybe it's the S&P 500 or it's the total stock market index fund, but that's it in their portfolio. It is an efficient portfolio. On the other hand, you will see investment portfolios where people have 100 individual stocks and they can't keep up with them. But in their mind, those individual stocks are giving them diversification. To me, they're giving them confusion.
So what's really important is understanding the purpose of diversification. We completely adhere to the value of diversification, how it can spread risk, but we do not add a bunch of different investments for the sole purpose of diversifying our portfolio. When we see that in other portfolios that people submit to us, we just think there is just so much clutter, it's hard to rebalance, and then you have all of these different investments that aren't really serving a purpose. So we do not diversify to the extent where our goal is to diversify every single thing that we can, and we're throwing everything in the kitchen sink into our portfolio. We still keep a simplified portfolio. So it's really important to understand with diversification, it is great up to a certain point. But when you over diversify, where you're focused on diversifying everything, it just adds noise, it adds complexity to your portfolio, it stops reducing risk, and not to mention it can add additional fees, and it can all be at the expense of lower returns.
The next piece of bad financial advice is you want to become less risky with your investments the older you get. And if you have studied financial independence like we have, you know that you don't want to get less risky in financial independence. You want to stay the course. Do what you have been doing that got you to financial independence, because that strategy is what is going to allow you to pull from your investment portfolios and your portfolios never run out of money. I have some homework for you guys to do. Go look at the Trinity study and look at the success rate for portfolios that are mostly stocks and just a little bit of bonds. And then look at the success rates of portfolios that are mostly bonds and just a little bit of stocks. What you'll find is that the portfolios that stay aggressive with growth are the portfolios that you can pull from every year and never run out of money. On the other hand, the portfolios that are made up of conservative investments like cash and bonds, those are the portfolios that are not growing. And so when you pull money from those portfolios, you are depleting your portfolio.
Which brings us to the final piece of financial advice that we ignored, which is you should retire when you reach 65 years of age. Now, I actually think that people use that as a goal. Like, oh, once you get to 65, you finally get to retire and live your life. We completely ignored that advice. We lived by the FIRE principles, where our goal was to reach financial independence and retire early. We set that goal and we retired before the age of 40.
And the thing that's really sneaky about this advice is that people don't come right out and say it. It's an insinuation, if that's the right word. But it's just the norm that everyone accepts that you retire at this 60-ish age. Why is that the number? Think about it for a minute. You work your entire life to retire, and then what? To die?
Oh.
No, I would rather focus on taking back my most valuable asset, my time, sooner rather than later. So the financial advice that we ignored was accepting the norm that you retire in your 60s.
So those are the 7 pieces of financial advice that we completely ignored, and by ignoring allowed us to reach financial independence and retire before the age of 40. I would love to hear pieces of financial advice that you have heard that you are completely ignoring as well. Leave a comment down below. And of course, if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and join the journey.